Welcome to our week 4 in Project Contracts and Procurement, ICT 4105. This is Professor Bauer. Hope you're doing okay today. The agenda for our roadmap video today, a little feedback on week number 3, particularly the first writing assignment. We'll talk about the roadmap for the activities, etc. for week number 4, and then the assignment on negotiations and sustainable procurement. A reminder on the Zoom room from 6:30 to 7:30 on Thursdays if we need it. I've gone through the first major writing assignment, and overall pretty good. Everyone scored well. A minuses to A pluses, and where you didn't quite get the perfect grade, which should be your goal every time you sit down to write something, where you didn't get that perfect grade, it was something as simple as having a cover page or making sure you cited a reference from the reading material. Things that are all contained in the rubric. Remember, Professor Bauer said, the rubric is your friend. So keep that in mind. RTP is the free acronym for the week. I want to give you some useless information about to cloud your imagination, as Mick Jagger said one day. RTP, read the problem. REA sounds like some kind of health problem. Read the assignment. So it's RTP, read the problem. Look at the rubric. What does it ask? Is it a document and a spreadsheet like we had last week? I got some that were great papers but no spreadsheets. I was graceful to those of you who forgot to submit the spreadsheet. Good for you. And but you know, make sure you have a cover letter or cover page or ID notation. And when it asks for references, make sure you cite the references and give a reference section at the end of the document. These are all just writing documents and papers for the DU ICT program at University College. If you're a rookie, then you're learning the hard way, the painful way. But hopefully, I haven't been too brutal on your grade. But keep those in mind. RTP. We'll look at the topics and concepts, and in that area, you're going to be looking on best practices for procurement and get a sense of negotiation. We didn't, we used to teach this class, and we had a couple of other resources on how to negotiate, getting to yes, win-win, these sorts of things. And the only thing I would just comment on is, in the old days, maybe I think the book, The Art of the Deal by a former president is probably the style there. It's, you know, win at all costs. Make sure you beat and defeat the person whom you are negotiating with. And it's a game. And if you win, that person loses and you make money and they fall apart. I'm of course generalizing things a bit to the extreme here, but it was never seen as something that, okay, this person is my supplier. I'm not going to beat that person to the point where he or she cannot make a profit. I want to look for something more than just unless I'm buying paper clips, something more than just an iterative transaction, but more of a relationship. Perhaps this supplier can be in my long-term supply chain. Given the fact that we've had a pandemic, having trusted suppliers is really important. And so as a part of the make or buy or partner discussion that you guys already did a couple of weeks ago, this is kind of the next area. How do you negotiate with a supplier? Is it best to keep your cards close to your chest? Is it better to be honest about when you need it and say, I really need it February 16th, when you really don't need it until March 1st, but you want to give yourself a little wiggle room? I think there's some wisdom in not giving all of your critical dates to your suppliers, but leaving some wiggle room. But you'll have to figure out that based on how reliable those suppliers are in terms of their delivery. So we'll look on discussions on negotiating decision frameworks, the use of blockchain in this area, which is really fascinating. And then the large assignment on sustainable procurement we'll talk about. So negotiations on negotiations and sustainable procurement. Make sure that you in the assignment look at the SASB, the Sustainable Accounting Standards Board website, and develop a high-level baseline for the organization that you're doing your major work on. This is a part of that portfolio assignment, and relate that to the sustainability practices and what's expected out of third-party suppliers. Companies, including Nike, many clothing, not many, but several notable clothing manufacturers, and technology companies, the likes of Apple, have come under criticism and even legal action over the last 5 years for their labor practices, and more to the point, for the labor and manufacturing processes of their third parties. In other words, if a parts supplier employed slave labor, as the allegations have been verified by the United States government against the Uyghur people in the People's Republic of China, then a company like Nike, who's been accused of working with these third-party manufacturers, is now under formal UN sanctions if this allegation is proven. And so, who supplies your inputs, and what they do, and who works for them, and how they run their operation is now becoming just as critical as what happens in your own plant. This is a big difference from 20 years ago. And so we want to make sure you keep that in mind. Keep in mind, as always, the rubric is your friend. This is going to walk you through what you need to do in this assignment. Double check the rubric before your submission. Plan the assignment at the outline level, and then right by that, by the guide. It's always a good idea when you finished your paper, to give it a good night's sleep and have a cup of coffee in the morning and walk through. You'll see amazing amounts of things that need correction. A reminder, this week, 6:30 to 7:30 Mountain Time, our weekly Zoom room. For this week, we'll take a look at the SASB site. We'll look at how to develop the baseline for your company on your portfolio assignment. So it'll be very practical. We'll walk you through those. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye now.